Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Sid's Little Corner of the Internet. This is Sid Sr. speaking, and we're bringing you another Transformers review. This time we've got ourselves a crossover review. We're going to be taking a look at the Transformers Ectotron Ecto-1. So as we always do, let's move him out of the way. He's got a few little fellas on him, so I'm going to need to move them out of the way first. Move him out of the way, and we'll bring in that packaging and take a look at it. So you do have that nice artwork down there of Ecto-1. Transformers logo there. Nothing on the side. On the back, you do have that nice G1 artwork, which I really love. And then you do have a little bio down here. So, function as a paranormal investigator. When life splatters you with marshmallow goo, just go with it. When the Ghostbusters need a ride to the next paranormal hotspot, it's nice to have one who can also handle a Proton Pack. Then you also have all the warnings down here with the sad baby. You do get your little spec sheet right here, so if you have one of your little red decoders, you can take a look at those. And also, it's not that hard to read without one. And on the side, you have Ectotron Ecto-1, and it says here he comes with Slimer and he comes with Muncher. And on the bottom, you have another product shot and some manufacturing information. This is the 2021 Ghostbusters Afterlife version. There was an Ecto-1 that came out in 2019, but this is the Afterlife version, as you can see in the artwork here, with a little bit of the rust on the front to reflect the way Ecto-1 looked in the Afterlife movie. All right, so let's talk about what came in there. Some things never change. You do get this, so do with that what you want. You get the instructions, and really nice, I really appreciate this, you get a Transformers Ghostbusters crossover comic book, Ghosts of Cybertron Part 1. You get that really nice, both the really nice logos on the back, Hasbro and Ghost Core, and you just do a random opening here, and you've got good G1 looking artwork. So, very nice. It looks like the Ghost of Starscream there. Uh-oh. Alright, and he does come, of course, with a couple of ghosts. Everybody knows Slimer. Take a nice look there at Slimer. So, maybe a little hard to tell, but he does have good detail in there. Give him a little look on the back. He's just a nice little Buddha-looking fella. And he also comes with Muncher. So there you go. Muncher looks like an angry, hungry little Buddha. And both of these guys do have ports on the bottom. And there's a peg on Ecto-1 that you can use to set these guys on, primarily in vehicle mode. All right, so let's bring in the main event here. He does come with the Proton Pack, which is an accessory. Normally I have the accessories off, but I wanted to show him kind of in all of his glory right here to start off with. Full disclosure, this is not included. This is actually just an effects part from the Siege Ultra Magnus. It just happens to be that the Proton Pack gun is effects compatible, and I thought that one looked pretty good. I thought it looked a little bit better than the typical effects parts that we would use, such as these two. However, these do work as well if you have them and you want to use them for him instead of this. Alright, so let's go ahead and we'll take that gun off. The reason I wanted to do it like this is to just kind of give you that overall look, but also because this gun is kind of finicky. There are a couple things about this figure that's a little finicky. Number one, the joint down here for the knee on my copy is loose. So if he falls, apologies in advance. And also the hose where the gun goes in here, this doesn't hold in very securely. So that may fall out here as well, just in the process of handling. And finally, the Proton Pack itself does not hold on very securely onto the back. So let's go ahead and we'll get this off, and we'll take a close look at that. I'm going to start with that effect part. Just go ahead and take that off. And we will take the gun out. And unplug this. And then come around here to the back, and we'll take that Proton Pack off. All right. If he came with a protein pack, that would be great. I'm a little hungry right now, but a Proton Pack is what it is. So let's bring that in. I'll give you a nice close look on the Proton Pack. I do appreciate the detailing in this. I think they've done a very good job. It kind of looks, I don't know what the official word is. The ghost trap, the one that they would scoot out and step on, it's kind of what it looks like in this mode as well, and even more so when you set it up for the roof accessory. But yeah, so good detailing on there. And there's the back. And you do have this rubber hose here, which in car mode this will connect to the antenna. And then you have this blue rubber hose that connects to the gun, which I'll bring in here in a second. So let's set that down and we'll take a look at that gun. So this is just black molded plastic, but again, the amount of detail on here is pretty good, all things being considered. And really, you know, this is the kind of thing I would expect this level of detailing, you know, really with the accessories, because this is a $60 figure, 60 US dollars. So, you know, he is on the larger size, and the vehicle mode looks fantastic. It is licensed by GM, and to justify the price, I would expect that there would be, you know, good amounts of detail there. All right, and then to show you up close, you just do have that port right there, and you have this soft rubber post that just plugs in, and because this is a soft rubber, it's kind of difficult to get in and stay in. But there you go, you have it like that. Okay, now let's bring in Ecto-1 in for his close-up and look at some of those details. So we'll start right there with that head sculpt, and I think that's a pretty good looking head sculpt. He kind of looks like one of the sand people from Star Wars right there. That's what he reminds me of. I kind of expect him to jump out from behind a sand dune and try to kill me. And you've good chest detail there, nice paint apps right here. It does say Ectotron right there, so I've been calling him Ecto-1. Maybe I should have been calling him Ectotron. Eesh, sorry. And then down here in the ab and crotch section, good detail. Again, they've given him a bit of an aged look here versus the 2019 edition to reflect what we saw in the movie, where the Ecto-1 was pretty much just a barn find. I haven't seen the movie, I'm just going by what I've seen in the trailer. And even in here, good molded in detail on the insides of the legs. And on the side, you have this little ladder. This is a soft rubber ladder that you can just kind of move wherever you want in robot mode. And come down. Pretty good detail on the arms. You do have this big hollow area here, but this is for the fists. And then, of course, you just got a big old half of a Cadillac coming at you right there. And there he is from the back. So he does have a backpack, but it's not terrible. It's basically just the top and the sides of the car folded up. And there you have the bottoms of the legs. So his heel spurs come out, and you've got each half of the Ghostbusters logo there. Alright, so articulation on this guy is kind of limited, particularly in the shoulders, just due to the design. We'll talk about that head. You don't get any side to side on the head. You can get a little bit of up and down, but it's not at the neck. It's just at that rotation joint for the transformation. And then you do get good range of motion. You can do a full 360 with that head if you want. And for the shoulders, so this is kind of tricky, but you have a joint right here where you can raise the arms up about that far, but then you also have the transformation joint here that you can utilize. So if you need to bring his arms up higher, you can do so. So you can get, you know, something about like that. And as far as shoulder rotation goes, this is where he's very limited. Try to give you a good view here. So you can rotate his shoulder to about right there before you hit a hard stop. And bring him back this way, and you're going to get about that far before you hit the hard stop. So very limited range of motion in the shoulder. And down here at the elbow, you do have two joints right here. Again, this is for transformation, but if you utilize it, you do get a great elbow bend right there. So that's really helpful for posing. And then you have your bicep rotation, and you could go around a full 360 there. You don't have any wrist rotation, but you do have wrist swivel due to the transformation, so you could bring the fists all the way in, and then they come out that far. You do not have anything at the waist, so this is all fixed. But for the hips, you can come out, and you can get a full Van Damme. So not bad when it comes to doing the splits. And he can kick forward this far, so he can do the full "This is Sparta." And in the back, you're limited to how far back you can go again before he starts running into geometry. All right. So you do get thigh rotation right here. So you could go all the way around if you need to for the thigh rotation. And for the knee, you get just under 90. And the only thing you get at the feet is adjustment on the heel spur and the adjustment on the toe. Again, these are primarily due to transformation, but you can utilize those for posing as well. All right, so let's talk about transformation on this guy. Transformation is pretty simple on this guy. Where I find the biggest difficulty is just with the Proton Pack, getting that installed onto the top of the car mode. So for transformation, to get him into his car mode, first thing you do is you pull this chest piece down, and you will rotate the head in and then close that chest piece up. Then you will fold the hands in. Then you can bring those arms up. And you can see for transformation, the reason that you have those two joints right there is you're really just fixing the arm in at an angle. And before you bring those arms up, I should have shown you this. You do have this section right here that if you just push up, that brings the wheel up a little further, and then that gives you the room necessary to utilize this. All right, and then do the same thing over here. So push that up, and then bring this in, and just give it that bit of a double bend that it requires. And now you take at the shoulders, rotate these 90 degrees, and then you bring these up, and then you have the slots and the tabs, and you'll just line those up, and you will squeeze everything together. And then that makes the front of the car. All right, you can then turn your attention down here to the legs. So you can take these toes, push those toes up, and then the heel spurs will become the back of the car, and do the same thing on both sides. And if you want, at this point, go ahead, you have tabs here and slots over here, and you will just connect those two legs together, squeeze them together, and then you want to take these shins and pull the shins forward, and these legs are on a double hinge, so at this point you will, trying to give you a good view of it here, bring those down, and then that will collapse the car in, and then you have these slots right here that correspond to these two tabs, and you will just slide that together. Squeeze those two together, make sure everything's lined up nicely. And then you can come back down here and you can close these shins up. And if those toes came down, go ahead and collapse those again as well. Now you have the sides of the car. These are just on double hinges. So I will pull this one down facing you this way so you can see the mechanism. And then I'll do the other one the other direction. And right here, just bring that down. And then you're just lining everything up, making it look good. And go ahead and keep this ladder down because it's going to get in the way until you're ready to put the Proton Pack on. So now you have Ectotron Ecto-1, whatever you want to call him, in his car mode, minus the Proton Pack, which will now sit on the roof. And, I mean, it's an old Cadillac, right? A 1950-something Cadillac. It looks great. So, no complaints there from vehicle mode. Again, it's officially licensed from GM, so it probably is going to look good. So, for the Proton Pack, there's a little bit of transformation here, and then there's a whole lot of fiddling. This is my least favorite part of the transformation, but let's go ahead and get started. First thing you want to do is take that gun off that hose, and then you're going to disconnect this hose up here. And this is just going to dangle loose, and so is this one. Then the Proton Pack itself, you're now going to lift up, and as you bring this down, this piece is going to pop up, and then you can just push that piece up, and then you have this section right here that's going to rotate up, and then you have this port that corresponds to this post right here. I am not going to squeeze that in at this point because this is where things start to get really fiddly, and I will do my best not to cuss. So you have this hose made of soft rubber, which also includes this tab made of soft rubber that goes into this hard plastic slot. So take this, wrap it around. This toy was not made for people with big fingers. And try to squeeze that in. And now everyone at home, if you could cross your fingers for me so I could get this tucked away, I would appreciate that, because the next step is where it always gets me really angry. So I am going to attempt now to, in this configuration, to get this little loop and the front of this tucked away inside that little socket right there. So here we go. Let's see what and right away that popped out. Okay. Gonna be like that. So I gotta see if I can hold on to it long enough to get it tucked in. I will go ahead and collapse this in and I'm gonna try to do this on camera, guys, but if I can't, I apologize. So you get that kind of tucked away in there and start pushing everything in on the bottom of this. There, I should have shown it. I'll show it when I transform back. But there's two posts, or there's two ports, and they correspond to two clear posts on the inside of the vehicle. So I just got so worked up with anxiety trying to get this in that I forgot to show you those posts. But let's get that. So I think I've got it about squeezed in as good as it's going to get. And then right here, this is where you have a tab here, and then a little post here. It's going to correspond to the slot, and this port. All right, so tuck this in, get that little tab in there if you can. All right, there we go. So we got one in, and what I found is if I put this one in first and then come back to this one, life is a lot easier for me. So I'm going to go ahead and just come down here, and I'm going to tuck that one in, and then I will push this one in, and I'm going to pray that it stays, and it's not. So I think that's maybe about as good as I'm going to get it. And move that ladder. As soon as I move that ladder. So my next step is I'm going to put this gun on. There's a post or a port right here. It's going to correspond to the post on the gun. And I'm going to hope that between the gun and the ladder, this helps me hold everything together. So I'm going to see if I can get a little bit more tube down there. Give it a little squeeze. Stay. Take the gun. Put the gun on. Bring the ladder up. And that came out. So I'm going to push it down in there again. Get in there. And then there's a port right here on this painted yellow area, and there's a soft rubber tab on this ladder. I'm going to try to get that in there. When you're working with the soft rubber on this stuff, I understand why they do it, because it needs to have flexibility, but oh my gosh, it's so frustrating. Okay, there we go. So I have the ladder in. This is kind of staying in, and I think we're at a point now where, oh, I still need to do the antenna. So you still have this little guy. Thankfully, this is the easy one. There's just a little hole right there, and you just take that soft rubber end of this soft rubber hose and plug it into that hole. Give it a little bit of a squeeze, and there you go. So you have the antenna in, and the hose is staying, and we have the gun and the ladder on. So there you have Ectotron Ecto-1 in his vehicle mode. And once you get it here, my gosh, this thing looks really, really nice. It's just so fiddly getting all of this in there. So apologies that you had to suffer through all that, but I'm telling you what, that is the absolute worst part of the transformation. So let's go ahead and we'll bring him in, and we'll look at some of the details, and then we'll bring Slimer and Muncher in, and then we'll do some comparisons. So starting up there in the front, you do have that nice grille with these paint apps for the rust, Ecto-1 right there. And it's a clear plastic that's painted silver, so you get that headlight and fog light look going. Got that blue light right there. Ghostbusters logo on the side. There we go. And you do have the white wall tires, which look really nice, and this thing rolls so nicely. It's really well done. You do have the clear windows in there, and it's really busy inside, but because so much is going on, you can't really make anything out, so it doesn't detract at all for the vehicle mode. And of course you have the sirens and the light bar up top, and you've got all this going on up here. I don't know, for all I know, there may be a flux capacitor in there somewhere. I don't know how proton packs work. You got the little ladder. Got these nice red fins, and the tail lights decked out in red in that clear plastic. The Ecto-1 back there, Ghostbusters logo. Again, the amount of detail on this car mode is very well done. All right, and there it is from the top, and here it is from the bottom. So there's a little bit of robot kibble there. I mean, you can see arms and fists and chest, but overall, I think it cleans up pretty well on the bottom. All right, so now we can talk about these two guys, Munter and Slimer. So on the vehicle mode, on the gun actually, you have this post right there. And the downside is this is only a one ghost at a time kind of car, but you can take either Muncher or Slimer and place them right there on the vehicle. And if you want, I mean, it's not like it's going to drive anywhere, so you could put the other one anywhere you want. I think that looks pretty great. I'm on the fence as far as what I'm going to do with this guy from a display standpoint. Typically, I don't display my vehicles or my Transformers in their alt modes, but this is such a nice looking alt mode, so much better than the robot mode in my opinion, that I think I may keep him in this mode. I think he looks really good. And of course, it's an iconic car. Everybody's going to recognize him in car mode, so I think that would be a pretty good display piece. All right, so we'll take Muncher out of the way because he is loose, and we'll leave Slimer where he is. And what we'll do for comparison, I don't have a lot of crossover Transformers, so there's not going to be a lot of apples to apples on this. I'm just going to be bringing some stuff in just for fun. So I figured what we would start with is something out of Sid's collection. This is something that he put together a few years ago, and it is the Ecto-1 Lego from the 2016 Ghostbusters movie. So you can see the two there together, and they actually scale quite nicely together. This works really well. So let's do a little bit of bumper to bumper action here. Yeah, I think that works out really well. I'll give it that 3/4 look. And yeah, there's a Proton Pack back here, so let me take the Proton Pack out because the door wasn't closed all the way in the back. There's a little bit of a Proton Pack sticking out. And Sid would get upset with me if I break his Legos. They don't have the craggle. Did you see that? That popped open, or that popped out. They didn't even have to touch it. Stay. Okay. And we'll do back to back. There you go. All right, so I think that really scaled out really well. And moving that onto the side. And the next thing that I'm going to do, because, I mean, this is a Cadillac, and I don't have any other crossovers, and I don't have any other Ghostbusters stuff to bring in. So what I figured I would do was I would bring in a couple of Viacons because, well, you know, they look an awful lot like Cadillacs. I mean, they have a Cadillac front that looks like a CTS to me. So bring in a couple of Viacons and set those side by side so you can have a point of comparison. That doesn't look too bad. And yes, the two Viacons are different sized. One was the first release Premiere Edition, and then the next one was the second release mainline. So yeah, I don't know. That works out pretty well. All right, let's get these two guys out of the way. And now what we can do is, again, very briefly, is we could talk about the limited effects compatibility. Again, I think this is purely coincidental, but you could do in the vehicle mode, you could put that effect back on. So as Ecto-1 is driving down the road, you could have some Proton Pack stream action. Just don't cross your streams. And right there, it looks like Slimer looks like he's maniacally trying to annihilate anything in front of him. So that's kind of nice. And that's it for the effects compatibility in vehicle mode. So let's go ahead and take that off. And we'll take Slimer off. And we'll just get back to transformation here. So once again, this hose has already come loose on me. So it's anticipating transformation. So let's go ahead and you will just take this ladder, pull that ladder off, move it down and out of your way, pull the hose, loosen all that up, grab the gun, and take the gun off. Loosen the antenna and let that dangle. And now you're just going to grab this, give it a yank, and then pull all this out of there. And what I was talking about earlier, there are two clear posts right there and right there that correspond to those two ports on the bottom of this Proton Pack. And that's how you connect that in. So once you get this Proton Pack off, let's just go ahead and get this transformed back up and get that out of the way. So open this up, swing this down. You can close this. As you close that, that lifts up, and then swing that back around and squeeze that together. And for this one, because of where the weapon storage is, you can use this port or you can use this port, and I choose to use this one just because when I store the gun, I want to store the gun on this port right here. So let's plug that in. And there you have the Proton Pack ready to go, minus having the gun hooked up. All right, turn your attention back here to car mode. So the easiest thing to do here, again, with this ladder, just kind of, well, you can do that too. I didn't mean to do that, but put that back in there, squeeze it out of your way, and push down on the sides of the vehicle. That'll allow you to open these up, and then you can utilize those double hinges and just bring these pieces up and out of your way so they clear the car. And then just swing them back like that. And then you come down here and open these shins up. And then just give this a nice pull, and then that will release these two tabs and slots, and then you can just bring those legs out on those double hinges. Come back down here, close the shins up, and then you can split those legs. Don't forget to drop your heel spurs. And when you dropped those shins, those toes came out, so it's almost automatic. And now you can just turn your attention to the top here. Just give this a nice gentle grab and split those. Bring the arms down. Turn them 90 degrees toward the front. Bring those arms down out of your way. Push these down. Give it a little push. Give it a little push, I say. There we go. And do the same thing on the other side. And then flip the hands out. And last but certainly not least, pull that chest panel down. Lift that head up and squeeze the chest panel back together. And there you have Ectotron Ecto-1, whatever you want to call him, back in his robot mode. So let's go ahead and we'll put his Proton Pack on. I'll show you the weapon storage, and then we'll bring in some comparisons. So for this Proton Pack, you have this tab right here, and then of course this opening, and that's going to correspond right to this slot right here. And you're just going to line those two up. Oh, and then you do have a tab right up here. That's going to line up to the slot in the light bar. So just line all this up and give it a gentle press. And it doesn't do a whole lot, but once you get it in there, hopefully it'll stay unless you breathe on it. So don't breathe on it. It just doesn't hold really securely, guys. All right, and once you have that, what I find is easiest is go ahead and put the gun in his hand first. So rumor has it that he is right-handed. So we'll just go ahead and utilize that right hand, and then you can grab this hose, and you need to swing that around and plug the hose in, and then you can swing this back and drape that however you want. And put him in a, whoop, there goes that loose knee. Put him in a bit of an action hero pose. Swing that out, turn that head. And you are ready to catch some ghosts. All right, so not a whole lot to it. And real quick, just to show you the weapon storage, I'm going to try to take this out of his hand without losing that hose. Also gently take that out. Oh. And come around here to the back, and then you can plug the weapon in. You can either plug it in this orientation, or you can plug it in this way. Depends on where you, and then the backpack falls off. But it depends on how you want it to look. Obviously the details, when you orient it this way, the details are all sticking out, so it makes it look a little bit better, but then you have this hose kind of getting in your way, but it's up to you. Depends on how frustrating your day is. If you want to get frustrated and cuss a little bit, then yeah, try to play with that hose. All right, enough with the lean back. Oh, look at that. That pack fell off. Oh, look at that. And then that hose came off the Proton Pack. Ooh, yay. All right. So sorry guys, I'm not trying to sound frustrated. I'm really not. It's just, I've played with this guy a little bit, and he's 100% on my nerves at this point. All right, so let's bring that hose around. Let's plug that back in. Let's hope it stays. And then come back over here to his super loose legs and try to get him posed. Oh, look at that. That other hose came out. So I'll come over here and we'll plug that hose in. And yeah, if you stand, that would be great. If you could just stand for me. You could just stand for me. Good enough. I'm going to call that good enough. All right. Okay, so let's do some comparisons, and we'll get this thing wrapped up. So I don't have, like I said, I don't have a lot as far as comparisons go for genuine crossovers. There's really only one. that I can bring in, and that would be, I do believe it's Obi-Wan Kenobi from Star Wars, and he's got a bum leg as it is, so he's kind of got a little bit of a lean to him. But that's really the only crossover that I have to show in the robot mode. But of course, I do have a couple of other robots that we can bring in, again, just for comparisons. So we'll leave Obi there, if he'll stand for me. Why don't you lean on it? Oh, I saw what you two were up to. Oh, my goodness. Don't you dare do that to me, you buttheads. All right, Obi, you're out of here. I thought I could trust you. I have the high ground. Okay, so sorry guys, I'm losing it at this point. So for the last couple of comparisons, we could just bring in, just for size comparison, we could bring in the Kingdom Core Starscream, and we could bring in Earthrise Prime, so you could get a sense of scale there. And just for fun, because I didn't have anything else to compare to, and I haven't used him in any videos yet, we will bring in G1 Gears, and we'll just set him right there. So there you go. There's your comparisons for the Ectotron Ecto-1. All right, let's move these guys out of the way, and I'll give you some final thoughts. Just go ahead and take these guys out, and there we are. You're all alone. And let's bring Slimer and Muncher in so you've got some company. All right, so my final thoughts on this guy. Gosh, I would love to recommend him, but I can't. It's as a Transformer, he's mediocre. There's just not a whole lot of ingenuity going on here for the Transformer portion of it. I think the quality control is a little lax. I've got loose legs on my copy. I am not at all a fan of all the soft, rubbery pieces going on for this Proton Pack. I think that could have been executed so much better. There was my problem. His heel spur was caved in. Anyway, you know, I think they could have done so much better with these. I understand the use of the soft rubber for the flexibility, but this just felt cheap. Car mode is great. That is how I'm going to be displaying him. I've made a decision that that's how it's going to go. So he's going to be in car mode. I love the fact that they included these two little guys with him to try to help justify the price, you know, so a couple of cents worth of, you know, whatever material this is, soft, rubbery, injected plastic, totally makes it worth the $60 price tag. That was sarcasm. But anyway, final thoughts. If you like Ghostbusters, if you like the crossover stuff, you're going to like this guy. He's just not my favorite. And I appreciate the car mode. Not the biggest fan of the robot mode or the transformation or the quality control issues that present themselves. So with that being said, I'm going to wrap the review up. And yeah, just thanks guys for tuning in. You know the routine here. I've said it in every video. Whether you're watching us on YouTube or on Rumble, give us a like, hit that subscribe button. We're trying to bring videos out to you at least every other day. I hope you find them entertaining. This one may have come across as a little frustrating, and I apologize. But regardless, you know, leave us some comments. Let us know what we could be doing better. Let us know what you want to see. And we'll take that feedback, and we'll make this channel better for you. So with that, thanks a lot for tuning in. And we'll catch you guys in the next one. Thanks.